Wednesday, April 19th, and this is Geeknights. Tonight we're going to talk about two anime, Zegapain and Air Gear.
Let's do this.
Well, like we've said, this weekend we're heading out to Rochester to do a live show at Toricon.
Hooray. I have to drive for many hours.
Yeah, but with a whole bunch of people. It'll be fun.
And tiring.
At least it won't likely be like our last foray into Rochester, which was an unmitigated failure.
Yeah, it's the first time I think we ever screwed something up, but it really wasn't so much us 100%. But
yeah, well, it was more that we planned everything out and we decided to go to Rochester and do a thing. And somehow, through no fault of our own, the thing we had planned to do was canceled by the people who were supposed to be doing it, thus leaving us in the lurch. This time they can't cancel it because I know there are hundreds and hundreds of people who are also coming to do the same thing.
And if they cancel it, we'll rally those hundreds of people and teach them a lesson.
Yep, a lesson involving fire.
Involving fire. That's a good lesson. I was expecting to teach them a different lesson involving acid. But a fire lesson is good too. All right, so it's Wednesday. I got some comic news here. Apparently, some comic books of the American variety are going to start doing product placements like in the olden days.
Now, not obscure comics or like little indie comics that need money. We're talking like the new X-Men.
Yeah, like characters will have like a Nike swoosh on their shirt and such. And there's like bombs outside. What's going on?
All right, we're sorry if we sound a little distracted at this point, but there is apparently a small world war going on outside our house.
I was about to make the same joke, you bastard.
That's what happens when you live with the same geeks for long enough.
So, yeah, but seriously, like, there's some major shelling going on down the road.
We really don't know what's going on, and we're going to try to ignore it. But just so you know, if we periodically sound distracted, it's because there's fucking explosions going on outside.
Yeah, we're not even joking. You might hear them.
Yeah,
they're pretty loud. All right, so
Comics,
product placements. Now,
this product placement isn't in like the obscure crap. This is in like the new X-Men or whatever comics are popular with you young kids.
In other words, the unobscure crap.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the point is that some people are like, product placement is evil. Oh my God, what the fuck? And other people are like, product placement is just fine. It even makes it more real. Why, instead of having some generic ass clothing, it's more like the real world where everything's branded.
Yep. Now, to me, there are basically two kinds of product placement. I generally break it up into the good kind and the bad kind, or more likely, the indifferent kind and the hateful kind. I mean, on one hand, there's, all right, say in a script a guy drinks a soda from a can. And it doesn't really matter. It's not important to the plot. It's not like Dr. Pepper's the cure for AIDS at the end of the movie. So if Dr. Pepper pays whatever to make that can a Dr. Pepper can instead of a Mr. Pibb can, I don't care. Because it doesn't matter. He was drinking a soda. That's fine. Now, if it's like that National Treasure movie, where not only is everyone in the movie drinking like Dasani or Aquafina, I don't know which one it was, but they were drinking one of those bottled waters.
I didn't even notice, so...
I noticed it because there's one scene where he's looking at something and he can't read it. So he grabs one of the bottles of water and holds it up in front of the camera like a magnifying glass. And like the camera zooms in and focuses on the label for a second, and it's like, wow.
Yeah, okay. If that happens, that's definitely out of place. But the thing that really gets me is when they do product placements, let's say Pepsi pays for a product placement, right? And Coke doesn't. All of a sudden, I mean, sure, it makes sense that if, say, it was a comic taking place at one college, that Pepsi bought out the college, everything would be Pepsi. But Pepsi didn't buy out the world. If you're going to place brands in there, if you want to talk about realism, you got to put all the brands in there. I mean, there should be a Pepsi machine next to a Coke machine. That's realism.
Yeah, but then Pepsi won't pay.
No shit. See, that's the problem. The other problem is that you should be able to put those things in there without paying or getting paid.
Yeah, the problem is that
if I want to make a comic and have all kinds of different real brands in there, I should be allowed to do that.
Yep. I mean, back in the day, a lot of video games wanted to do that sort of thing, and the companies would always say no. So you were forced to have these like generic made up like Cola stuff floating around.
Coral Cola?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that? That's the Star Tropics, I think. The island was named Coral Cola or something.
Star Tropics was a good game.
They need to bring that shit back.
Yeah, even though the game is now just tedious and difficult.
It's not so. At least you get the yo-yo action in there.
Yeah, but you also get the tedium.
Yeah. It's all right. Anyway, so
Yeah, comic nerds are in an uproar over this, and I'm fine with that because I don't really.
I don't read any of the comics that are gonna get ads in them.
I just don't like comic nerds.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between a comic geek and a comic nerd. Comic nerds are the people who read like the 1970s Spider-Man and they swear by it and they think it's awesome.
Worst advertisement ever.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So I commute about 5 minutes. Scott commutes about an hour. He used to commute about an hour into the city.
Yep.
And it's my opinion that an hour is probably the longest commute I could stand without freaking out and killing everyone in the world.
If my commute was any longer, Rim wouldn't be here.
Yeah. Now, there's some contest, I think Midas put it on, I don't really care, where they were trying to find whoever in U.S. had the longest commute of anyone.
Well, it's obvious some guy probably uses a helicopter or something.
No, it's some dude who drives 7 hours total every day to his job with Cisco.
What the hell? How
Now-
could you sit in the... I can barely sit 3.5 hours is like a day trip. Like, I'm going somewhere
3.5
important.
hours is almost to Rochester
Yeah.
from here.
It's crazy.
In 3.5 hours, god damn. Now, the thing is, the contest was, you had to verify it. I have a sneaking suspicion, a tiny suspicion, that this is not entirely legitimate. I have this feeling that it's possible that he does indeed work at the Cisco that is 168 miles from his house. God damn those explosions outside.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'll get the sandbags ready.
they're really loud. If we suddenly scream and go off the air, well, you will never hear it because we won't be alive to put the episode up. But
Oh, jeez. That's why I guess radio has an advantage.
yeah,
All right.
there's yeah. Now, it's possible that he might in fact drive to this place occasionally, but I wouldn't be surprised if he just telecommutes most of the time.
I got a feeling. I mean, it could also be a situation like this one lady who works in my company. She has a house in Florida, a house in Rhode Island, and a house in Tarrytown. And most of the time, like during the week, she's in the Tarrytown house because she'll go to New York City or she'll go to the office that I'm at, which aren't too far away from Tarrytown. But on the weekends, she goes to her Rhode Island house. And then I guess she also goes to her Florida house sometime.
See, now that's cool. Like if I had what the hell?
I don't know, but if
Okay.
there was a contest for longest commute, I would say I live in Rhode Island and my office is in New York City. Ha 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 ha.
No, they apparently did some sort of checking. They had to verify, and they had all sorts of crap about it.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, I've discovered that Americans commute longer than any other nationality.
Yeah, pretty much. It's because we have a lot more land to traverse.
It's not just that. New Yorkers have the longest average commute of anyone.
Well, because you look at the state of New York, and most of the people are working closer to the city, and most of the people live farther away from it. So,
Well, actually, almost half the people live in the city, and half the people live everywhere else combined.
yeah,
Yeah, but that's
but
New
more
York.
than half the people work in the city.
The problem is just that Americans in general seem to have this aversion to living near any sort of industry at all.
Mm.
So as a result, we've got these like suburban communities surrounding places where actual work is done, and you can't actually live somewhere where there's a job. I mean,
I would love to live closer to my job. The problem is I don't want to live in a shithole. If there
Yep.
was a nice place to live near the job, I would live there. Other people seem to not want to live, or maybe no one thinks anyone wants to live near the job, so they don't build a nice place there because then no one will live in it.
the other problem is that jobs require people from all sorts of different places.
Mm-hmm.
And those people might not all want to end up living together, or for whatever reason don't want to live there, or there aren't enough people, like a place where you'll find a job somewhere. And there's a company that hires, say, 1,000 people, but you couldn't sustain all 1,000 people living in that area, like there aren't enough services or anything.
Nope.
So those communities just don't appear, and everyone has to commute.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, honestly, I've been poking around for jobs for the last several months. I have not found a single job worth taking that is not in New York City at this point. I have not found a single one. Not one. The closest job that isn't in New York City is in Yonkers, which is basically in New York City.
Yep. It's just like this little weird, sort of crazy city thing above New York that's kind of weird.
Actually, it's a really nice place. I've never been down there
Yeah, but it
before.
has all sorts of weird laws that apply to it.
Yeah, God, I'll have to pay 0.5% commuter tax if I work there.
It's a really strange thing. Yonkers is.
Yeah. To the people who decided how Yonkers taxes work, you can die in a fire.
It's not just taxes. There are other weird things about Yonkers.
Oh, I don't care about the rest of it because I would never live there. But
I don't think just even being there is weird. I don't know. It's an okay place.
Their
though.
taxes are weird.
Yeah. Anyway.
But people just really... The worst thing is most people who commute in this country commute by car, meaning they can't do anything else with that time. That time is lost.
You can listen to things on the radio or a podcast like this one or something, but that's about it.
Yeah, that amazes me. I mean, if I have a commute like that, I'm taking a train or something so I can do something with my time.
Yeah, I used to take the train, but now there's no train that goes where I go.
There'll be a train that goes close if the MTA has its way. It'll probably be finished in the next decade, maybe.
It's not really good enough.
No, it's not. It'll take you to Danbury.
Yeah, and then how do I get from Danbury to where I work, which is like a half hour?
Oh, well, obviously you buy a car and you keep it parked at the train station there.
No, how about not? How do I get from here to the train station? It's no good. I'll need 2 cars. I can't do that.
Yep. Though it looks like I'll be commuting on the train to Yonkers.
Great.
This job is really cool looking, but that's all beside the point. I don't know what the point is other than I really think people commute far too much in this country, and I think that things need to be done about that, or at least to make commuting less detrimental to life.
One day I'll get a job or that's close to my house or a house close to a job or something, and I'll be all set.
Yeah, it just seems that so many people like put their job before all else, or like they live their life around their job.
Well, because they don't have anything else.
Yeah, I mean the people...
Only geeks have something else.
The people where I work now currently, it's like most of them have absolutely no actual life outside of their job. Like they come to work and they're like, at least I'm not home with my wife. Ha ha.
Or maybe they actually have a family, but then all they've got is job family, but the family doesn't do things besides generic American family watch TV crap.
Well, I guess the worst thing is that most of them seem to really not like their spouses. And it seems like it's not kosher to ask them, well, why did you marry them? Or why are you still married?
That's weird. I mean, like, all that kind of stuff is, like, foreign to me because, like, you know, sure, sometimes my dad will be like, don't let your mother know or don't tell your mother.
Yeah, but that's part of family.
But it's never
life.
like, damn wife.
Yep.
You know, I don't have that action, so it's all weird. I don't know people like that.
Yeah, you should read the internet. I mean, I think at this point it's like 60% of all marriages end in divorce.
Yeah, it's also weird. Like all my aunts and uncles and you know my parents' friends, all these married people, they don't seem to be. No one's like that. They're all married, stay married, kind of happy people.
Yeah,
relatively speaking, some of them are better than others. But
maybe it's just all the people I work with. Maybe they're all just bitter old engineers.
Maybe that's how IBM does it to them.
I don't know. I don't know if it's a complicated thing. I could do a whole episode on marriage.
There's probably some subliminal IBM things like hate your spouse, hate your spouse. IBM is better.
The worst thing about it is that they always say things like, one of them's getting married and he's spending, obscene, stupid amounts of money on the marriage. And I was like, yeah, I could run an awesome wedding for like $2,000. Mm-hmm. And he was like, you kid, you don't know anything. You'll get married and have a family and blah, 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 blah. Like everyone's always like, yes, you'll get married and then you'll be miserable. Ha, ha, ha. It's like they can't imagine that people could actually have a real relationship.
Yeah, it's like people saying, you'll go to college and then you'll see, well, what if I don't go to college?
Yeah.
Or
you'll be a conservative when you grow up and you realize how things work.
Yeah.
I get that a lot.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
It's like people...
Like, you're only liberal because you're young.
Well, there is that old somewhat true saying that, if you're a socialist and you're 20 and all that, and
yeah,
it's kind of true.
Yeah, but...
Kind of.
The problem is that I don't see my political views changing significantly over time.
No.
If anything, I see them solidifying into a hateful mass.
Yeah, that's what I see also. I guess people just seem to think that like laws of society are somehow also laws of the universe.
Yep. Well, I think it's more that people, at least in terms of the specific thing on marriage and these people with their long commutes and their horrible jobs, is that they're fairly miserable. At least that's my opinion. And they can't imagine that other people, or they couldn't deal with the fact that other people actually aren't miserable or didn't make the same mistakes they did. So they assume that everyone makes the same mistakes or everyone does the same stupid crap and has a
and then they
miserable
feel
life.
Okay about themselves.
Yeah, because they all like commiserate about oh yeah, my wife sucks, oh my husband sucks, and then they all get drunk and go out and whatever. I'm ranting. I'll have to do
Let's not be those people.
Hey,
if anyone's out there and you're those people, call me.
I think it'd be really hard for us to become those people.
Yeah, it would be. I mean,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, my life is generally awesome. And if my life were ever not awesome, I would do something about that.
The only thing unawesome about my life is the job, and it seems that these people, the job is the awesomest thing they've got. So
Yeah, my job is just a means of putting money into my wallet, which I can then spend on having fun with, friends.
me too, but on the same token, I actually want a job where there's something to the job and not just sitting there doing nothing all day.
Yeah.
Because, you lose time in the car. I don't want to lose more time at the job.
Well, work on other projects.
I am now.
Or just don't go to work.
I can't do that.
Why not?
They'll eventually find out.
So, by then you'll have found a new job.
I haven't even looked yet. I probably should. I've actually gotten offers because people still have been sending me offers ever since I graduated college and started looking for a job. I've had like this stream of offers that slowly trickles in all the time.
I logged into my old RIT email account and there were like 7 or 8 job offers that I'd never
I
even
logged into my old CS email and there were job offers in there and I was like, oh, well, these are sucky job offers at least.
All right.
I'm not going to do your Java, Oracle whatnots.
Yeah, people are like, yeah, you want to do some Novell NetWare for us? I'm like, no.
Hey, come and help us do our, Microsoft Visual whatnots.
All right, we've gotten way off topic. I blame the explosions. So
Thing of the day, explosions.
Yeah, let's do the things of the day, and then let's do the anime. All right, so things of the day, now that we're getting back on topic here. Dare laugh, dare ding.
They're laughing their dinger.
That's my thing of the day.
Ding, ding, ding.
It's long, and I'll say right now that there are incredibly obvious edits in it, which I'm not sure if we're done for time or for setup or what have you.
I think some of them were done for time, and some of them might have a tiny bit of cheating going on, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, cheating or no, it's fairly impressive and fairly interesting. It's a obviously German video of a massive and convoluted and very slow-moving fire-based Rube Goldberg machine.
There's a lot of fire and a lot of fuses and a lot of liquid chemicals mixing to create fogs and mists and a few of the mechanics they use multiple times, which is boring.
It's very neat, though, that it's very slow and but very precise. And more importantly, it's very, very, I guess, crude looking.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to just watch it. It's a half hour long. You don't have to watch the whole thing. And no, it doesn't go anywhere. It just stops.
Yeah. The best part was the wheel.
Yeah.
Well, there's one. There are a bunch of wheels that roll.
There's one wheel that just keeps going.
There's one wheel that it's like usually you have a wheel, it rolls, it hits something, and then you move away from the wheel. This is a wheel that moved. Then it did something to make it move more. Then it did something to make it move more. Then it did something to make it move even more.
Yeah, like it stops and we're like, all right, now it's just on fire. Wait a minute, are those rockets tied to the side of it? Woo-hoo!
And then the rockets go off and the wheel keeps going, and then that's the best part. So just try to skip to the wheel, and once you've seen the wheel, everything after that is sort of more of the same.
It's fun. Though
Yeah.
I have one complaint that everyone who's linked to this, and I found this morning, but people have been linking to it all day, and they're linking to the wrong thing. It's not Def, Laugh, Dare, Ding. It's Dare. Dare, dare, dare. Why did you think an R is an F?
Probably one guy did a misspelling and everyone just copied what that guy said.
Yeah, so if you see anyone linking to this with an F, I die in a fire.
Yeah, oh my god, you should see how many freaking spelling errors get into headlines on Dig and then
Great.
proceed to get a bunch of digs. There really needs to be a thing. If you have a spelling error in your headline on Dig, you can't get digs. That should be the rule. Anyway, my thing of the day. You might have noticed that there's this video that's real popular on the internet. Like, it's crazy popular. Of this dude juggling 3 balls to the tune of Golden Slumbers.
Now, I thought it was fairly impressive when I saw it.
I also thought it was impressive when I saw it. Now, here's some background information. There's a comedian named Chris Bliss. He's actually a pretty cool comedian. I never heard his comedy, so I don't know if it's funny. I'm sure it's funny to someone because he's famous.
He's a cool guy, at least.
Yeah. He's doing this thing where he's trying to get monuments of the Bill of Rights on all the state capitals and then in more places because he's all cool like that. So definitely not a schmuck. And in part of his show is juggling 3 balls to this Beatles song. And if you don't know anything about juggling and you're just a normal schmuck like us, It's pretty impressive. And that's why the video has gone around the net. Now, there's a guy named Jason Garfield, I think his name is. And what happened was, Penn, I heard on his, Penn Jillette, I heard on his radio show, according to him, he saw the video of the guy juggling 3 balls and told this guy, Jason Garfield, to do it with 5. And because they're jugglers and they know that juggling 3 balls wasn't so great. And, to us, it looked great. But to people who knew stuff about juggling, it was crap. So there's another video called Dis Bliss, which takes the audio from the very popular video.
Like right out of the video with the audience and everything.
And it shows this guy juggling 5 balls to the same song and everything. And it's much better.
The best part is the very end of the video when he's like, try with 10. Bleh.
And he juggles 10 balls normally for like a second. And then you're like, oh, shit. But yeah.
I guess it's just an illustration of the fact that things can become very popular on the internet if people don't know a lot about the skill or the background of whatever happened.
Yeah, I think that these 2 videos combined illustrate a lot of things. But primarily they illustrate that it's real easy to fool and amaze people who don't know anything.
Well, like look at when we go to Wildwood and dance on the DDR machines there. Years and years ago when DDR still wasn't really well known outside of, geek centers and cities. So there'd be a DDR machine on the boardwalk in New Jersey. And, people, no one knew what it was. There'd be one kid, trying to play the game and failing, and there'd be a crowd around. So Scott and I would get up on the machine and do our normal thing, because we're actually, both of us, really, really good at DDR. Dance Dance Revolution, if you don't know.
We need to do a show about DDR.
Yeah, we do. So we dance, our crazy, awesome dances, and the crowd is, yelling and screaming, whoa, my God, those guys are awesome! And it was just DDR, and we're good, but we're not as good as some of those crazy people out there, like DJ 8-Ball.
Yeah, not even close.
Nowhere
If they
near.
saw that, they would just pee their pants.
Yeah, but because they didn't know, they thought what we were doing was crazy.
And there are a lot of people out there, I know some of them, who will get mediocre or slightly above average skills at a wide variety of things, but not have insane skills at anything. And then they will shock and amaze completely normal doofuses with their slightly above average skills, as the 3-ball guy is doing. When the people with the real skills of 5-balling are not noticed. Maybe because they're rarer.
Yep.
But I'm sure if the 5-ball people come out of the woodwork, then, they'll also shock and amaze
Well,
people.
there's also the point that until recently, the internet was the realm mostly of geeks or people who are good at interneting or good at computers. So whenever a non-computer awesome thing would appear on the internet, the people who generally propagate or promote those sorts of things would go, woo! And the people who are actually good at those things don't really know or care about internet memes and cliches, and they have no idea what's floating around out there.
They got no clue.
But now, as cool people or internet types or geeks are getting older and doing things other than just their, computer geekery, they're noticing that, hey, there's this internet and I can be on it too. So now you have the guy who can juggle the crazy number of balls and he sees the people juggling 3 balls and goes, ha, I can beat that.
Yeah, I think that overall, this is a really good 2 videos to compare and contrast, and many times...
Ooh, compare and contrast, like in middle school.
Yeah, and many times in the future, I see myself, in discussion saying, this is just like those 2 juggling videos, here's why, blah.
I'll admit that this is an effect that I've often used to my advantage, because I'm a mediocre at best piano player. I'm all right, I can just doodle around. But when I'm at anime conventions... and I sit down in front of a piano, and I know 2 or 3 anime songs that I can just bust out, and it looks like I know what I'm doing. So I'll just sit down and, doodle a bit, and I'll play, the Utena theme, and people go, ooh, wow. And then I'm very careful to, walk away from the piano before anyone tries to get me to play anything else.
Yeah. There's more to it, but let's go.
All right. So today, we're going to talk about 2 fairly terrible anime.
They're not that terrible.
They're
not as terrible as what was the terrible show?
The one with the harem or the one with the harem?
Both.
How about the one with the boobs in the harem?
That one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, these aren't that bad. They're not like horrible. They're not the kind of show that we would just turn off because we can't deal with it.
But they're the kind of show we won't watch anymore.
Yeah, you might. Basically, it's still at the line where you might want to watch one episode at least to know what we're talking about.
Especially if it's your kind of thing. I mean, one of these shows might be up your alley.
Yeah, I mean, we'll tell you when a show is not worth watching at all to anyone. And these shows are just above that line.
All right, so the first show is Zegapain.
Yeah, emphasis on the pain. The show's not good.
No, it really didn't grab me. I mean, at first, I thought the show had promise because it was somewhat serious.
What? You thought the show had promise
No.
because the screen capture that was put in the icon on the desktop was a giant robot face, and you thought the show was
No,
gonna...
because I read the synopsis of the show online, and it had something to do with robots and fairly serious sci-fi something.
It's like a Matrix, but you don't know who's where, and a boy with a giant robot, and a little bit of gratuitous boobage.
Yeah, the gratuitous boobage was unnecessary. All right, let's explain this show. So there's this kid, and he doesn't seem to be too popular at school.
Oh, wait, no, the show starts with that weird sci-fi robot battle.
Okay, sure. The show starts with a sci-fi robot battle in space. One guy is half disintegrating, and this girl dies, and then a robot explodes, and it's bigger than any nuke I've ever seen.
It's hard to tell what's going on.
It's sort of like the cryptic either what happened in the past a long time ago or what's going to happen in the future. Sort of, you'll find out about this later, but that's the real plot clip. You know, one of those.
Yep, then it cuts to generic high school show.
Generic high school show. This guy doesn't seem to be too popular. He does some annoying things. You know, doesn't have a lot of friends, but he has like one friend who's a girl who's, I guess, been the childhood friend, typical. And this other, kind of Mickey kind of guy. Like Mickey from Utena.
Yep.
Yeah.
There have been a lot of characters like that lately. The doctor in Ergo Proxy really gives me that feel, too.
Kinda. A little bit. But yeah, there's one guy like that, and they're shooting a video for something.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter, but it gets to the point where he sees a girl, like, dive off the high dive.
He sees a girl standing on the high dive from across the school.
And he runs over there.
Because apparently, he's the captain of the swim team and also the only member of the swim team. So if he sees someone going in the pool, he's like, oh my god, are you ready to join the swim team? Woohoo!
Now, at this point, I'd like to say that I really don't get why they've made the pool, like, this focal point of all the whatever that's going on.
I don't know either. If there's a metaphor associated with the pool, I don't know what it is.
And I'll also say this. Yeah, an underwater kiss is hot. That's a really cool thing. You can't hold your breath that long. Oh my god. Anyway.
So this girl standing on the high dive, apparently, I'm going to ruin the whole first episode. Watch out.
It's fine. His show's not worth having not ruined.
This girl standing on the high dive isn't real. Like, no one else saw her. And when she tried to talk to him, he couldn't hear what she was saying. So that's that.
Yeah, other plot happens. It's really meaningless.
Other crap, no one can see, whatever.
She reappears in his apartment.
She reappears, she can talk, everything's cool. She takes him to another world, brings him in a giant robot. They team up in a giant robot. They fight other things, and they win.
It's all very quantum, like everything's holograms, like it's a game. And he asks, like, is this a virtual world? And she says a typical anime cryptic answer of...
No,
yeah.
He's like, where are we? And she's like, pretend you're playing the latest VR game or something.
No, he asks something like it's a game, because she says the words, you can think of it that way for now.
Yeah, something like that. So it's either some sort of parallel dimension... or quantum leap space or some crazy bad shit.
At least it's not like the freaking negative whatever with Captain Marvel.
Yeah, anyway. The robot is called the Zegapain, and yeah.
We really couldn't figure out what's going on.
It's pretty invincible. But
the show's gotten me enough to where I want to know what the plot is. It pulled a fancy la-la. The show I don't care about, dinosaurs I'm curious about.
Exactly.
Now I got to find out what's up with the dinosaurs.
Zegapain, I don't really care about the show or at all. The characters mostly all suck. The robot looks cool, I guess, but I just want to know what the hell, what's their explanation for this parallel world?
The robot's kind of generic, though. It reminds me of the fighting from, like, Candidate for Goddess.
It reminds me of...
kind of like crap CG, cel-shaded weekly.
I don't care about what it looks like how it's animated, but it reminds me of like Zone of the Enders type of stuff. Whatever. It's a robot. It shoots things.
Yeah, one of the worlds is
it has
a Matrix.
A blazing sword.
There's some sort of fake world or something. It's like they took a
well,
generic robot show that had nothing going with it and added just a little bit of weird sci-fi mystery something to make it more like Ava and Razafan.
Yeah. And then at the end of the show, like, he's teleported back to the normal world in the swimming pool, and he kisses the girl.
Underwater.
And that's the end of the episode.
It's really all we can say about that show.
Yeah, it's tell you what happened in it, because that's it.
Unless you want to be roped into either watching a crappy show or scouring the internet to find out what's going on in the show from synopses, don't watch it.
My recommendation for the show is that you find a picture of the robot to see what it looks like, and then find a synopsis on the internet to find out what the deal is with this alternate world, and that's the end of it.
Yeah. All right. The other show we watched is it's one of the most painful non-harem shows I've seen in a long time.
All right, it's in the Initial D genre, also known as the Hikaru no Go genre.
Yeah, Prince of Tennis.
Yeah, where there's some sort of special interest. It's actually slightly different. It's more in the Yu-Gi-Oh genre because it's a fake special interest.
Yeah, because Initial D, at least, it's a show about cars, so it's a real thing, and then they talk about cars in a somewhat realistic
Yu-Gi-Oh,
manner.
or what was that other one? Dragon Drive, I think?
Yeah.
Is where they make something up to be interested in, and then they make up how to be good at it and all that stuff.
So basically, it's in my opinion, a generally stupid genre to begin with. Because in this case, it's not like Cars in Initial D or Go, where it's a real thing, so you can just make up plot around it.
What was the Mahjong one?
Oh, Akagi.
Akagi, yeah.
Instead, they make up a thing, and then whenever they need a crazy plot device,
they make it up.
They make a thing up like, oh, he did a double black blah 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 blah. That's crazy. Oh, well, he did it with his super blah 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 blah.
Yep, they just make shit up because they made it up. It's like if you make up a sport and then you make up a show about your made up sport, and then you make up the rules in your made up sport,
and then you make up why it's
every
awesome.
episode you can just come up with some crazy technique or some crazy situation because you're breaking all the rules, and it's silly.
While Initial D is silly and breaks a lot of rules, at least it's grounded a little bit in reality. Like, you can kind of drift a car like that, and you can kind of do the things he does to a somewhat possible degree.
Somewhat.
Yeah, somewhat.
Hikaru no Go is really, at least the Hikaru no Go I've seen is really grounded. You play Go. You can play Go.
Yeah.
I can play Go. Not well, but I can. But Air Gear is something else.
So first of all, they made up this thing, which is basically rollerblading, but the rollerblades have like nukes in them or something. So they have this power plant, and they can roll you around.
All right, wait, stop right here. Didn't I come up with the idea of rollerblades having motors?
Yeah, and
wait, what did you say?
I said that is silly, dangerous, stupid, and horrifying.
And why is it?
Well, the main reason to not get, for any of you who haven't rollerbladed, when you rollerblade or ice skate, they're very similar. You push. So the motive force comes from your leg, and you push out, you're pushing down, you're propelling yourself forward, and the wheels are just there to reduce friction when you're gliding. If a rollerblade was rolling for you, now the motive force is a pulling force coming from the rollerblade, and you would basically just fall over and die. It is almost impossible to do what this show wants to do in the first place.
All right, so
without some sort of magic or technology that we don't have yet.
So, continue talking about what happens in the first episode of Air Gear, because I'm not all too sure.
Yeah, well, they make up this thing. So, Air Gear are rollerblades with, like, fuel cells or something in them, and they have motors, and you can move them. Apparently, you can also fly.
Really?
The characters are flying, like, literally flying, leaping from, like, rooftop to rooftop, spinning around in the air.
It didn't look like they were flying. It looked like they were just making really big jumps because the rollerblades let them go so fast, and they get on a roof, and then they just...
All right, ignoring the physics of that, it's just... They jump too far. They're effectively flying. It's like Superman. He can leap tall buildings.
Yep.
And then they made up this whole subculture around these things. And complete with, like, these rituals. Like, the main plot point, one, is that he finds the air gear that the people he's living with have, and he steals them and he wears them, and he's kind of good at it. He might be one of those prodigies. Two, they make up this whole gang culture around these things, and then they make up this thing where, like, if you slap your sticker for your gang on top of the sticker for someone else's gang, it's a challenge, and he accidentally does that and challenges someone.
Mm.
Yeah. And then the challenge is just this other stupid thing, and the show just goes nowhere fast.
Yeah, basically the guy has to race, and the really only redeeming part of the show that I found was the fact that he lives with these 4 girls who are kind of, it's not a harem, so to speak.
Yeah, they all hate him.
Yeah, it could be a harem, but it's not.
Wait, there's that one girl who likes him.
Yeah, it's a half harem. It's a half harem. But it has that funny element of, a guy living with 4 girls who are humorous in different ways. They remind me a lot of the neighbors from Yotsuba.
Ah.
Because you had the older girl who, you don't want to get dangerous with her because she'll kick your ass.
Yeah, the really little girl who's just, cynical and worldly.
Yeah, it seemed like that, which is kind of funny because they have rollerblade skills, I guess, or air gear skills.
Yeah, they're members of
Sleeping Forest.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why I remember that.
The show is just bad.
If you really like rollerblades, you won't like this show because it has nothing to do with rollerblades.
If you like this show, I got nothing to say to you.
You know who might like this show? The people who like all the normal fighting shows like Bleach and Naruto, but they like those. You have to be able to like those shows so much that you'll like a bad one of those shows.
Well, Bleach at least seems to have good characters. It may not have anything else.
It's true. It's true.
It's got good characters and good art.
This show, I think the only person you could say is a good character was probably the second oldest sister, the one that was all crazy evil.
Ah, yeah.
It was getting mad at him and yelling at him right away. All the other characters are boring.
Yeah, the show is just bad. Bad.
Yeah, I think the youngest sister has a good look to her, but she's not an interesting character. And the main character is just generic anime dude.
Yeah, he's pathetically generic.
Oh God, he's just painfully generic. All right, so Air Gear. I actually recommend you should watch the first episode if you don't have anything better to do, because you'll you'll get something out of it.
Don't watch this show alone. It'll break your brain. It's stupid. Watch it with a bunch of people so you can all yell at it.
Yeah, it's not funny because it's funny, but it's so terrible that you don't laugh at the terrible things in it as you do in a zombie movie or something, but you laugh at how shitty the show is in itself.
I mean, we were watching, got to the point where Katsu was yelling about the fact that they were jumping from rooftop to rooftop and breaking those roof shingles in Japan, which apparently are really expensive and hard to replace.
Yeah.
And Katsu was like, wow, that sucks, that bastard.
Yeah. And there's a little bit of gratuitous boobage, but not too much.
Yeah, not too much. Though
Zegapain had more.
I don't know.
A little bit more.
I think this show had a little bit more.
I don't really remember too much of it in this show. All I remember is when he, the usual crash land on top of some girl.
Why does that happen? Why is it in every show that's stupid, the guy bumps into the girl and then his face is laying in her breasts?
It's a Japanese teen fantasy. It must be.
I had better fantasies than that when I was a teenager, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, my fantasies went a lot farther than that. And I'll tell you what, it wasn't, my fantasies weren't non-consensual. All right.
So that's all we really have to say about these two shows. They're both bad. Don't watch them.
We got a whole crap ton of anime in our hopper.
Yeah,
so
I don't think you can understand how many episode 1s we have to go through now.
I think, this past week or so has been I don't know what to say. It must be the harvest. All the anime is now fully grown, and I'm going through the fields with the giant,
Well, we didn't find them while they were on the air, and now they've fallen off the side of the board and matured.
Yeah, right. I don't know if anyone's going to get that joke or not.
Well, if you listen to all week of Geeknights instead of just Anime Day, you'll get that one.
Maybe.
Ah.
But, yeah.
Yeah, and of course, next Thursday we'll have our coverage of Toricon. We're doing a live show there, which we may or may not record. We probably will record it. And we're going to interview people and all sorts of fun stuff. We'll probably have stories for the entire week.
Mm-hmm.
But our main coverage will be on Anime Day Wednesday, since Anime Day and it's an anime con.
All right. Do the the usual stuff. Frapper map.
Yeah, forum. Actually, the forum, I don't really need to tell you to join it anymore. Everyone's joining, and the forum's great.
Yeah, so if you're not joining, you're missing out. Maybe soon I'm going to start, posting secret goodies that people who aren't joined can't see. Because I have a feeling a lot of people are reading the forum but aren't getting accounts. So there's going to be at least one secret bonus thing for people who join. So even if you're not going to post anything, join and you'll see secret stuff as opposed to just reading them without joining.
Yep, we'll make some sort of members-only discussion thing, like Total Fark, only it'll be free because we would never charge money for something like that.
Yeah, that'll be cool. Encourage people to join in.
Yeah, of course, then we can have the super ultra version that you can pay for, but we won't really.
It'll be like Penny Arcade. This is our podcast is only available to our super extreme Penny Arcade members, which include everyone who's listening right now.
So once again, TorahCon, Rochester, New York, at the Rochester Institute of Technology. It's a one-day con. It's Saturday only. It was great fun last year, and it was much bigger than I could have ever expected.
Yep.
And, of course, in the near future, we're also going to be at Animazement, but that's a ways out.
Well, you're going to be there.
Yeah, and Otakon we'll both be at for our Geeknights extravaganza.
Woohoo! Oh, the logo contest is still going on.
Yep, don't think that we're not looking at anything we get. We're just not going to rush anything.
And we're not going to say anything about anything you submit because if we help someone, that's not really fair. It's sort of like, we can give general suggestions to everyone, but we can't, give comments on individual submissions because that's like helping you to win individually.
Yep. Just remember, focus more on the idea than the final execution.
Yeah. You want to get something that's, geek and night together into one.
Maybe some sort of geek night.
Yeah, like just taking the words and trying to arrange them in a clever way is good, but, I gotta... Someone who combines the ideas together into a visual thing. That's
gestalt. It must be a gestalt.
Yeah, that's what's going to win it for you. That's my generic advice to everyone.
Yeah, and it's that is now the word of the day. If you don't know what that word means, look it up because I'm not going to tell you. And that was Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for our opening theme.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com. If you like our podcast, you'll love our forums. Make sure you visit them. You can send your email feedback to geeknights@gmail.com. And if you want, you can leave us a voicemail at 206-333-1537.
Geeknights airs every weeknight, Monday through Thursday.
Geeknights is recorded with absolutely no studio and no audience. But unlike those other talk shows, it's actually recorded at night.